You want to move on? You want to
Yeah,
talk about
sure.
tech?
Let's talk about some technology.
All right, man. Go for it.
Fantastic. Well, talking about technology, hopefully my Bluetooth doesn't disconnect again, which is what happened earlier on. But yeah, I mean, technology in the camera world, it's kind of come to a stagnation, I believe. There for a good few years, Sony was pushing out cameras with new technological capabilities almost every year, it seemed, up until about 2017 when the A7 III came out. And since then, we've really seen a lot of cameras that are very similar to each other, all using the same technologies. And I'm sure Chris will agree with me that now, when we come to review a lot of these cameras, it's just all the cameras are just like every other camera on the market, and there's not really a whole lot to differentiate them
And
from
they
each
have the
other.
same sensor in many
The same
situations.
sensors. I mean, yeah, you name it, especially that 24 megapixel sensor, which has been around in just about every camera on the planet now, it seems. So, yeah, it's like we've reached peak camera and we're kind of at this crossroads now. Do camera manufacturers keep on doing the same old, or do we try and get some new technologies into the cameras going forward? And I've got a few ideas, and maybe Chris has got a few ideas as well of things that we'd like to see, if not this year, but definitely in the coming years, because things aren't fresh in the camera market anymore, I believe.
They haven't been for a really long time.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
completely
we
agree.
we really have to take major strides forward. I mean, I compare cameras to watches all the time, and
Hmm.
we're basically at the point where, like, in 10 years, cameras should be significantly different than what they are right now.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, you could even go back to um, even before 2015, maybe things were starting to stagnate even then. Yeah, mirrorless has come on in leaps and bounds, but there's still nothing radically different apart from the no shutter in a mirrorless camera than a DSLR, maybe improved autofocus, but essentially still the same. Nothing new in the camera bodies in regards to connectivity or improved user interfaces or anything like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, really, one of the biggest things I think I would like to see, Chris, is a new sensor technology. We use the Bayer sensors, obviously. Most cameras use Bayer sensors. Fujifilm uses the X-Trans. All fantastic sensors, but they're all the same. And we'll say we can go and re-review these cameras, and in terms of image quality, they all look identical. Um, I don't know how close we are to having global shutters, but I think that would be a, a next step forward for sensor technology.
I agree with you, but also, I was talking about this with Hillary earlier today. She was asking me what my favorite full frame camera is.
Hmm.
And I had to tell her, I'm like, she's a Nikon girl. She
Right.
loves Nikon. Um, I own the Sony system, I own the Canon system, and I own the Fuji system. She was asking specifically full frame, and in that case, it would probably be either the Panasonic S5 or the Canon EOS R5.
Right.
Um, Canon, because they make their own sensors and the image quality is unique enough where
Hmm.
it stands out from all the rest. Um, Other than that, maybe. Oh, actually, yeah, I did tell her this. The Leica M10R
Hmm.
actually as well too, because they also do not use the same sensors that everyone else does, and I think that's
Right.
fantastic. Um, yeah, though, to your point about sensors as well too, I think it's about time that we bring back the high resolution CCD sensor.
Hmm.
I think that there should be things that we do in sorry, not low light, in very good lighting. Like CCDs are better at lower ISOs, and at
Hmm.
some point, like, we're doing what we can right now with CMOS. Just imagine what we can do with CCD with even more details and stuff like that. But you also get a completely different look. Like, I talk about how the M9 was so great so many times
Hmm.
because it looked like chrome film.
Right.
And I think that it's prime time about for that to come back.
I agree. I'm on board for anything that can make any images look vastly different from camera system to camera system.
Yeah, we need that.
I'm a huge fan, and I think I wrote an article about this past week in what we want to see from Sigma. And Sigma haven't always made the best cameras, but I do love the Foveon sensors. They are so completely different and unique, and I would love to see a new Foveon sensor.
I agree with you. And now they actually like have better cameras.
Right.
If the FP had a Foveon sensor, I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It would completely set it apart from everything else on the market.
Yeah.
But
Especially because it's L mount, but also a full frame Foveon, that'd be really cool.
that would be fantastic. As long as they can get their autofocus figured out,
Oh, jeez.
um, it would be brilliant. But I'm just yearning for something different. I'm bored of the image. Not that the images are bad, but they're just the same across the board. And there's nothing. So if I was going out and looking for a new camera, there would be nothing in the image quality that would make me go with Sony or Canon or Panasonic, really, because they're all so similar.
Yeah, no, totally. I have ideas of what I want from every manufacturer across the board, but let's
Hmm.
you go ahead and talk first, and we'll get to mine.
Yeah, no, I said the sensor technology is definitely something we've got to look at. But I also want to look at, or I think it's time for manufacturers to start bringing some smartphone technology into the cameras as well. We're always saying that, the phones are killing the camera market, or they've killed a big portion of it, especially with point and shoots. But I think there's a lot that camera makers can learn from smartphone makers as well, especially when it comes to connectivity. We're living in this digital age, and we're living in a time where we got 5G and Wi-Fi 6 around, which can bounce around massive amounts of data very quickly. And I don't see any reason why now that cameras can't have wireless connectivity all the time so that you can instantly share your images, because that's what everyone loves to do. Let's admit it. We like getting those dopamine hits from Instagram and Facebook when the likes come in. I don't see any reason why cameras can't incorporate something like that to get our images out there onto these platforms quicker.
I agree with you about that. I The only thing that I would probably say is battery life.
Hmm.
But that'll catch up. Also, in some ways, battery life is very good at what it is right now. Um, Maybe they might say like processors or heat dissipation or something like that.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Find a way to make it better, though. It's very
Exactly.
possible.
Yeah, and in fact, battery life was one of the things on my list. And I like my DSLRs. And one of the reasons why I like DSLRs is because I can still rattle off 1200, 1500 shots on a single charge. No problems whatsoever. But on top of improved battery life, I think there also needs to be more ways for people to get a charge, like wireless charging technology would.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. How nice would it be to be able to just set your camera down on a desk and it gets a charge? No cables to mess around with, no battery packs to carry around to hook up to get more charge in your battery when you're on set, which I've had to do before.
When I was reviewing the Leica SL2S, I put it down in the key wireless charger, and the key wireless charger was like trying to initiate, and I'm like, wait a second, this thing has key wireless charging? And then I had to look it up, and then it
Interesting.
was like, no, it doesn't. And then I was like, huh, why don't cameras have that right now? Even right now, too, like cameras are really weird. Like, not everything has USB-C. Like,
Yep.
I was gonna use the A6600 to do this webcast, but
Hmm.
it doesn't have a USB-C, and I'm just like, guys, come on.
Yeah, that's been a standard for at least the last 3 years, maybe four, I believe.
Yeah, but
USB-C's has been around for a while.
there are cameras where it doesn't work. So
Hmm.
the Fujifilm GF series, I asked Fujifilm about this. I was like, why can't I charge this camera via USB-C? They're like, because the voltage isn't enough. I'm like, what? Guys,
Interesting.
really?
Yeah. You'd think there'd be a way they could work around that and get that to work. I think with USB-C becoming far more adopted now than it was just even a year ago, that's got to be something that comes included off the bat is USB-C.
Yeah,
It has
absolutely.
to be. Yeah. And talking about standards, I think it's high time for camera manufacturers to drop UHS-1 SD cards. My gosh, these things drive me crazy anymore. And the reason I say that is because we have cameras out there, and I've reviewed most of these, the XT200, the Z50, the Fujifilm XS10, they all use UHS-1 standard memory cards, right? These cameras have fantastic burst rates, but you can't use them because the buffer fills up so quickly with UHS-1 cards. So I'm like, why don't we just drop UHS-1 and make UHS-2 SD cards as standard going forward, so that photographers can make the most of these fantastic cameras. Right now, it doesn't seem to make any sense having these brilliant burst rates and 4K video when we're using such outdated SD card technology.
I 100% agree with you.
It's one of my biggest frustrations is getting these brilliant cameras and trying to shoot a burst and 12 shots is done. 12 shots is done, yet the camera can shoot a 15 frame burst.
Yeah.
It makes zero sense to me as to why that hasn't been resolved yet.
Yeah, it's also annoyed me come to like time lapse stuff. For example, I've been like, "Hey guys, what's going on? Like, why is this lagging? It doesn't need to lag."
Yeah.
Like, come on at this point. And now the manufacturers are going to be like, "Oh, well, we should use CF Express." No,
No.
no, no.
Average person cannot afford a CF Express card right now.
They're really that expensive, aren't they?
They're like $200 for a 64 gig, I believe.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's crazy. And yeah, I mean, I know you can go out and you can buy a UHS-1 SD card for $10 or whatever, but prices of UHS-2 have come down to where you can get a 64 gig card for $20 now.
Mm-hmm.
They're within reach. I remember it wasn't too long ago that UHS-2 cards were running $100 a pop.
Yeah.
So those prices have come down, and that's something going forward. Please, if you're listening, any camera manufacturer, drop UHS-1 standards from your cameras.
Also, if you're listening, be sure to check out on our site our cheap photo deals roundups. We usually do post those deals in there so you can check them out and buy all the SD cards you want.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm trying to think. Like, I have so many things that I feel like every manufacturer needs to do, but I would start from like Canon and go all the way down to the end. All right. Canon. I really feel that they need IP ratings on their cameras.
Yep.
And they also need even more lens selection.
hmm
And I still feel like in some ways they try to shoot themselves in the foot. Like with the overheating issue that happened with the R5 and the R6, we didn't experience those personally, but there are ways that they should really be pulling ahead even further and also making more innovative lenses. They're doing a very good job in terms of
hmm
lenses right now, but we want more. And then in addition to that too, bring some of those L lens features down for the simple consumer. We really should have more weather sealed lenses, and I shouldn't have to go for an L lens if I want weather sealing.
Right. And I mean, yeah, I completely agree. The new 85 f2. It's a fantastic lens. I know Hilly reviewed it. She really enjoyed it. It's still a $700 lens that's not weather sealed, and that is completely unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree, especially when Tamron's making them so much cheaper.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Steve Kwan, what is an IP rating? IP rating is a weather sealing rating, basically, that's given out by a third party body. Um, Cameras can receive anywhere from what IP56 to IPX1, I believe, which is what a lot of Olympus cameras have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
IP ratings are also things for phones as well too.
hmm
One number I know connotates to dust resistance and the other one connotates to water. Sometimes
hmm
it's like direct splashes from above, sometimes it's direct splashes from all directions. Sometimes it's direct splashes from all directions including the bottom.
Correct.
There are different numbers. I should probably do a post about IP ratings.
hmm
Let's move on. Nikon. Man, I don't even know where to start with this company.
Man, I've really enjoyed using the Nikon cameras that I've reviewed, um, and they are great cameras, but they're nothing special. There's nothing about them that sets them apart from any other manufacturer whatsoever.
Yes, and I remember a time, and you probably remember it too, when Nikon was actually pretty innovative. Like
Hmm.
the D300, the D700, the D3, the high ISO on those blew everyone else out of the water.
Yeah.
And we're not there anymore with Nikon. But in addition to that, there was also the innovation in the lens game. There was the
Hmm.
14 to 24 f2.8. Took how long for the industry to get something like that until mirrorless came around?
Hmm.
Everyone else was 16 to 24. Sorry, 14 to 24, not 28. And now Sony has outdone that with a 12 to 24.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Um, Nikon also had a 24 to 120 f4, and no one else has gotten anything like that, and they don't know why. And Nikon hasn't adapted that lens to the Z mount yet. So I
Hmm.
think that, you know, Nikon has this potential to do things that no one else has. Like, for example, they made the only fully water sealed, whether, sorry, not whether, water sealed, yes, mirrorless camera with the 1 series. Like they
Right.
had the Nikonos. Like I would love to see a Z mount Nikonos, either an APS-C or like, you know, full frame.
Definitely.
Yeah, and just think
They've
about like the possibilities then.
they've got so much potential, and they're sitting back for whatever reason. They're sitting back and letting everyone else pull even further away from them. But going back to what you were saying, when Nikon used to innovate, I remember the D750 was, I believe, the first full frame camera to have a tilt screen. I believe it was also um, the first camera to have Wi-Fi built into it as well. So we know Canon is no, Nikon is capable of innovating in their cameras. We just really need to see that going forward with their new cameras and new Z line.
That seems right. I'm trying to remember if it was the original 6D that had Wi-Fi built in. I'm not sure. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah,
that's Nikon. Sony. Sony needs to find ways to one, actually have better ergonomics that feel like cameras, not like computers.
thank you.
And two, like they're very innovative in some areas, but then they completely ignore things that every other manufacturer does. Like
Hmm.
multiple exposure mode, for example. That's one thing. Also, I was going through and I posted about this the other day. They had live composite in the App Store and they took it away from consumers.
Wow,
Why?
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they could have had the full app ecosystem with their cameras, or they
Hmm.
could have bundled it in for an extra price. Like Samsung was also trying to get into that game, but didn't really get too far. But
Right.
Sony could have done it, but
And
they
they took it
didn't.
away. Yeah, that's so bizarre. That was a really, I remember because I went out and purchased an A6500, and at that time it had the Play Store on there, and I thought that was really cool. Um, I know the apps were about $10 a pop, I
Yeah.
believe, and I remember buying the intervalometer for sure, but because I love doing my time lapses, but yeah, it makes no sense why they would have taken that away when they could have pushed that so much further.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, that also ties into the Wi-Fi thing you were saying before. Like, you should
Hmm.
be able to just go onto the camera and then just download the app.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why these cameras can't have internet connectivity
Yeah.
now. I mean, I know it's kind of there in regards to creating a network with your phone, but it needs to be so much more than that. This is 2021. Wi-Fi is not new.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yep.
Fujifilm. Fujifilm is a company that, you know, I accept they're not going to get into full frame.
Hmm.
That's fine. They need to hit medium format even harder. They need smaller lenses. They need faster lenses. They
Hmm.
need smaller bodies. They need better autofocus.
Yep.
They need to actually make their touchscreen menu a lot more functional. Um, that's what I really feel. The X series cameras are very good. I feel like in some ways they're screwing over the X Pro 3. Like, it's your most
Hmm.
expensive X series camera. Like, why aren't you giving it all of the features that the XT4 has? I think it's kind of stupid.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Fujifilm. I mean, otherwise they're doing very good. Like they've already said, like, no, expect the lens refreshes on everything soon.
I love that Fujifilm have carved out such a niche for themselves. Now, especially with their Fujifilm film simulations, those are always fantastic. The sensors they use are different from anything else on the market and give you a unique image. But yeah, I completely agree. Medium format is where I feel like they're really going to close the gap to other, especially because I think we're going to see much larger megapixel sensors coming out this year across the board. I think the 24 megapixel sensor is going to go away, and it's going to go up into the 30s. And with their medium format sensors, they can push that even more. And with the prices they have, it's going to keep them competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about what are they called now? OM imaging solutions?
OM imaging solutions, digital solutions,
Yes, that's it.
OMD solutions. Yep.
Yeah. What do you want to see with them?
I
Besides a
would.
new sensor that they've been recycling for like 6 years.
God, yeah, it has been. It has been 6 years on that 20 megapixel sensor, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. There's definitely got to be a new sensor, but I would really love, I think if any camera company can push AI, it's going to be Olympus or OMD solutions. We've seen it in their cameras already with, again, live composite, which is just one of my favorite features across any camera system, period. It's brilliant. Um, they've been pushing the boundaries with AI tracking in regards to their cameras being able to tell a difference. Well, you can tell it to track things like cars, trains, planes, and now birds as well. Um, I think Olympus needs to really push that AI functionality to overcome any limitations with the sensor that they do have currently.
I agree with you. I also feel in some ways, and I'm going to say this for every brand, they need to find a way to actually become more of a luxury oriented brand as well too. And I feel like
Hmm.
if the Pen F comes back, please, please give us everything.
Yeah, yeah. Spare no expense. Make it out of whatever material you need to make it out of to make it nice and robust. But that can maybe also patina too after time. Um,
Yeah, give
you
it a
know,
brass top or something like that.
wouldn't that be beautiful?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
See, I also think that the problem is that cameras are being made to be like tools that you need instead of tools that you want, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I can completely agree with that for sure.
Yeah. Last I'm gonna bundle the L Mount Alliance together.
Hmm.
First off, I mean, I've been the one mostly test their cameras and lenses. I think you've done a couple as well too.
On the L mount, I have not.
Okay, yeah, then I'm the only one.
Yep.
Um, I feel like in some ways they're trying to subtly screw each other over with like lens motors and like autofocus algorithms and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And I'm just like, guys, work together as a cohesive system and like find a way to use the same hot shoe and find a way to work together and like not try to screw over one 50 millimeter, another 50 millimeter, another 50 millimeter, because
Hmm.
otherwise the whole system is going to have like 20 50 millimeter lenses. And there's no good reason to have that at all.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely. It's just going to create so much confusion.
I also feel like between the three of them, they can make their own sensors. Like Panasonic used to make sensors, and
Hmm.
Sigma does Foveon sensors,
Yep.
and Leica works with Tower Jazz. Like Panasonic doesn't need to keep using Sony. Sigma doesn't need to keep using Sony. Like find a way to work together, become more innovative, become the platform that like someone can you go to for stills and videos, no problem. I'm
Hmm.
shooting this again on the Panasonic S5 and the Sigma 35 f2 contemporary is attached. So it works out well. And like it tracks very well. Like I'm gonna do this, it's gonna track my face. I'm gonna do
Yep.
this, it's gonna track my face, right? Yeah. It's
Yep.
slow, but it's smooth and it'll work. Um yeah, and I mean I have other problems like individually with each camera manufacturer there, but we don't have to get into that. Yeah, I mean, what else would you want to see like in the
Yeah.
next year or the next 10 years?
Well, definitely that with the L mount. I think the L mount. I've used L mount cameras, and there's definitely potential there. Um, why they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and their lenses, like, Sigma lenses won't focus as fast on Panasonic cameras and Panasonic lenses will. That makes no sense. It's just ridiculous. As you say, it needs to be much more cohesive. Um, for the next 10 years, man, that's a toughie. Um, I think just even getting past this year, I want to start seeing those sensor changes. I think we done a piece a couple weeks ago, a week ago, on curved sensors.
Yes.
That could be interesting. That could be really interesting. And we know the technical limitations with them is that, you'd have to create a whole new lens ecosystem, which would be really hard. But there's nothing stopping a company like Ricoh used to have a curved sensor, I believe, that they were playing around with. And they were going to release a GR1X, I believe, it had a curved sensor. And so were Sony. And they all just completely disappeared. But there's nothing stopping a manufacturer from bringing out like a compact camera with a curved sensor. That could be really cool,
No, I agree with you on that. I mean, that would work the same way that an eye really does, because the
right?
eye is curved.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we got to start taking these generational leaps in sensor technology. That's my biggest thing right now. Would be getting this new sensor technology. I want to see something completely different.
There's more than that as well too. I've been reading about like where we will be in 10 years because of internet speeds and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And they're predicting that everyone's like complaining about 5G right now, but in 10 years the internet is supposed to be so good
Hmm.
that holographic technology is supposed to be the next big thing.
That would be
So
interesting.
I want to see what cameras are going to be able to do to fully scan you. Like your
Hmm.
phone, where's my phone? My phone, whatever. My phone can literally say, "Oh, okay, cool. Chris, this is your face. Oh, yeah, this is your face here. Oh, this is your face. Okay, cool. Let's unlock it." But your camera can't do something like that.
Isn't that LiDAR? Isn't that what's considered LiDAR? I believe the new iPhone 13, I think, has a LiDAR camera in it that can sense depth,
Yeah,
and can create 3D models, I believe.
yeah. But I don't understand why traditional cameras can't do anything like that because I've talked
Hmm.
to manufacturers before about like, you know, all these phones, they have these processors, and your camera has a processor as well too. How is the processor in your camera compared to like the one in my iPhone? They're like, the one in the camera is far more powerful than what's in your
Hmm.
phone. And I'm like, but if my phone can do all these things, why can't a camera?
Exactly. Yeah, there needs they've definitely got to push the boundaries on that. There's no reason why this should have a faster processor than a camera that costs, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000.
Yeah, but also in addition to that too, I mean like if I sit there and really think about it, the companies that could really do this, Sony
Hmm.
is one. Panasonic has made a couple phones. They haven't really done very well,
Yep.
but it's possible for them. Sony's Xperia line, they're not big. If Samsung wants to come back, they could probably do it. Um,
Samsung would be huge if they were to re-enter the market.
yeah.
Yeah.
Leica has teamed up with Huawei before.
Hmm.
Maybe there's a way they can do something there. Um, Nikon, I was talking about this with a Nikon rep a while ago. So I was
Hmm.
going through their website, right? And Nikon has all this AI technology built into their microscopes that's supposed to take a look at the scene, show it to you, and then clean up all the noise, enhance the detail, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff, which is basically what you would do with a camera anyway, like sharpening and like clarity and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I wonder why Nikon doesn't let you have that in your cameras. Um but like to a higher degree. And I mean, we were talking about this before with high ISO stuff, but like
Hmm.
they have AI. They're sitting on the technology. Why don't they find a way to incorporate it? Um Yeah. All these companies also have like whole medical divisions at certain points. So I
Hmm.
feel like there are ways that like they can take that and share the technology over. I mean, Sony does that with their ecosystem.
Hmm.
Um, I think there's got to be a way that some of these companies can do it as well too.
Definitely. Yeah, that would be fantastic if they could. I think Olympus used to do that too before the whole split, because Olympus is now focusing on medical. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways that these companies have got tricks up their sleeves that they can use to differentiate themselves from everyone else. And if Nikon's got that AI tech, then they need to bring that out.
Yeah.
Come on, let's see it. Let's see it going forward.
We've got a couple comments on Facebook. Let me see. Yeah, until we get full end-to-end fiber, I don't see that happening. Probably was talking about the holographic technology.
Hmm.
Yeah. Susan gave a thumbs up. I'll give you a thumbs up back. Thank you. Glad to see that Brett is well again. Yes, so am I, trust me. It's complete robbery. Not sure what you're talking about, Roston, but I'll check back in a little bit to see what you're talking about. But here in Zoom, no one's really got any questions otherwise. Final thoughts, man. What do you want to see? Wait, PhotoKeen is done, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
CP Plus is coming up.
CP Plus is coming up. I really hope Photo Plus doesn't come back, quite honestly. I
Hmm.
really hated that show. But okay, what do you want to see Q4 this year? What is going to be your top three? Like, what are the top three things that you want to see this year?
Top three things this year. I want to start moving away. Well, I want to see a lot more cameras coming out without that 24 megapixel sensor. Time to get away from that. Move on. Bring something else out. Um, I want to see improved battery life. I know it's decent right now. I think it could be so much better. And it would probably tip this guy over to go and mirrorless full time, honestly. And yeah, what's another one I could think of? I don't know, man. What
Right.
about you?
Um, New lenses and new focal lengths that people haven't really done before. I mean, Sigma's
Hmm.
sort of doing that, um, and Canon's sort of doing that with the 28 to 70. I feel like we need more though from every
Hmm.
brand. Um, Something I was going to mention earlier, but I forgot to. I want to start seeing more Bluetooth accessories for cameras because these cameras have Bluetooth built in.
Hmm.
I don't see why we need to work with radio transmission for flashes.
Hmm.
Why can't, why do I have to have that little Profoto thing on top? Why
Right.
can't I use the Bluetooth in the camera to trigger a flash that's maybe 15 feet away or something like that? Or
Hmm.
use the Wi Fi protocols to do that?
Yep, that'd be good.
Yeah, why can't I do that? Um, I really genuinely want to see the return of a CCD sensor.
Hmm.
I think that that is going to change things immensely. I will buy it. I will run downstairs and grab my credit card as fast as I possibly can to get it done. Um, yeah, man, that's what I want to see. Yeah, I see. It's crazy too. We're going a little over time, but I guess I'll talk about this very quickly. Uh, I talk about the comparison of the photo industry and the watch industry a lot.
Hmm.
And I purposely wear two watches because of that. So, arguably for me and my thoughts when I've thought about it, 9/11 killed the watch because when that happened, everyone immediately got cell phones as soon as they could because everyone was scared. So they didn't
Hmm.
necessarily go around wearing these again. Fast forward to like 2019, 2018, and stuff like that, and watches finally made a comeback to where you can't really keep them in stock anymore because they became luxury cult collectors items.
Right.
Um, that being said, the watch was getting killed by the cell phone, and the cell phone only started to kill the camera kill maybe 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
So we're not even at our halfway mark yet. We have like another 10 years to go, and we have to figure out how we're going to actually be able to get better again in the market and make the market grow again for cameras. And I don't think that we're going to do it by having everyone use the same sensors.
100% agree. There's got to be some differentiation out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm wearing two watches. Like this is for like it's connected to my phone and then it also tells me like when I should go to bed.
Hmm.
And it tells me I literally have a complication on here to coordinate with your time zone, my time zone, LA, New Delhi. What else do I have on here? Barcelona and
Hmm.
Shanghai. Mark lives in Shanghai. Barcelona is where our mobile company works. The desktop advertising company, the head is over in New Delhi. And
Gotcha.
LA just because I like LA. So yeah. Well, I don't really like LA. I'm a New Yorker, but yeah. Um, and then this is just because the fact that like I do like sort of cult fun things. And
Hmm.
this is like a watch that Arnold Schwarzenegger wore in like all of his 80s action movies, and I dressed it up with a Stingray leather strap the way I usually
Nice.
do. So like I'm sitting here talking about these pieces of technology like this, and I feel like people should be talking about cameras like that again.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Totally.
All right, man. Either way, good to do this show. I'm really happy about it, and I think we're done, right? I mean, hold on, wait. We have 25-year-old. Oh, Sanjay is saying something to me directly. I have a 25-year-old 28 to 70 f2.8 lens. So it's deja vu all over again. Yep, I get that. Let's see on Facebook. No one really saying anything. Chris saying thanks, man. Ralston saying it's complete robbery. Compared to the M2. I will take a look at that link later.
Oh, they must be talking about SD cards.
Yeah.
M2 is a storage standard.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
The gear editor saying it himself.